My name is Odie. I've been a tattoo artist for 20 years. This is my 21st year tattooing. I started tattooing in Venice Beach. Well, pretty much Hollywood, but Venice Beach. 1992. Well, I did graffiti before, and the transition was that I had artistic skill to step up and do something. I had talent in drawing, and I think the crossover was that I was making more money at tattooing than I would be at graffiti. Plus, it's not illegal to do tattoos. What I really like about my job is that I'm capable of meeting somebody for the first time, getting into whatever scenario they bring me, and putting it on their body. I'm basically a middleman, but I like that the best. Every day is something new. There's a couple kind of tattoos I won't do. I won't do any kind of tattoos that have power involved. White, black, brown, yellow, any kind of power behind those things, I can't do it. I won't do any racially insensitive tattoos. I'll do a swastika because I don't see it as it has its bad history, but I see it as a Japanese symbol. It doesn't matter to me.
Mm-hmm.
But I won't do it on a white person because I know what their meaning behind it is, but that's just me. Well, the future of tattooing is always going to have the same two basic kind of people pushing it. The just turned 18-year-old and the military. By far, those are the only two that's always kept us in business. So I don't see it ever changing in that sense. I see maybe styles progressing, the limit being pressed, like just trying to go overboard. But you can't reinvent the wheel. The tattoo is still put on the same way, still lines and shading, still colors. It's still a human being touching a human being and making it happen. I don't ever see it go into a computer or a robotic kind of tattoo sense, because you can't put a price on the fact of the human contact, A, and B, people move. It's not like paper. You draw on paper all day, but if somebody's moving because they're hurting, you have to deal with that as it comes. So the future of tattooing is always going to remain the same. It's always going to stay the same. There's always going to be kids wanting tattoos. There's always going to be military wanting tattoos. The most popular tattoo I've come across in 20-some years is mom.
Mom.
Everybody gets mom. Mom and a rose. If you got a shop called Mom and you do roses, you're double money right there all day long. Matter of fact, there's a shop in San Francisco called Mom's, and all they do is roses and mom's tattoos. Man, a memorable tattoo story. I'll give you two. I tattooed a guy who was a fireman in New Jersey. The next year he came back. Of course, this was after the 2011 thing. The next year he came back to the show, and he came into the show in a what do they call it? Like a fireman's parade. They were honoring the people of 2011. And they walked in formation to the show. I was tattooing a mom and daughter. My friend Sage was tattooing the mom, and I was tattooing the daughter when we were using the same bed. And I remember this because when it was all done, they were walking back, and the one guy broke line and came right up to me because the banner behind me said Los Angeles. And he said, "Can I talk to you?" And I stood up, took off my gloves, and said, "How can I help you?" He said, "Put out your hand." I put out my hand and put his hand on top of mine really quickly and said, "I want you to take this back to the West Coast. I want you to keep it in your family. Never give it to anybody, but show it to any and everybody you meet. Don't ever let my friends be forgotten. Can you do that?" At this point, my brother stood up because he thought this guy was trying to fuck with me. And I said, "Hold on." And I said, "Yeah, I could do that." And I opened my hand, and it was a bolt from the World Trade Center. That his battalion or his fire department lost some people involved in that stuff, and they were given a piece of metal from it that had two bolts. He broke both bolts off. He kept one, gave me the other. I have it. That has topped my freaky, weird stories of tattooing in the last decade, but there are some other ones. I was tattooing one girl, and the apprentice was walking by with a tray of tubes, and I was doing her lower back, and I had just started an outline, and she was a swimmer, a little small Asian woman, and I remember she jumped out of her skin from the lining. She was freaking out, I don't know if I can say it, but this is a true story. She said, stop. I think I'd rather you fuck me in the ass than finish the tattoo. The apprentice drops his tray, turns to me and says, oh man, I love this business. He picks everything up and walks away. Needless to say, I didn't do that. I mean, I finished the outline and that was it for her. She never came back again. I didn't see her again, but you know, you can't write what people say. You just come right at the story. Mm-hmm. I've heard plenty and I got plenty to tell, but those two are top my list. I try to incorporate my tattooing with the modern sense of this, you know, the communications that we have on the internet. I would use any number of the sites that are available: Twitter, Facebook, MySpace, just basically Yahoo. If I could get in touch with you and you can get in touch with me, that was enough. But I find that you could throw sales out there, something like a Twitter account. You can meet up with people and let them know where you are, and it's almost instantaneous, especially if they're involved in it. Whereas some of them, you'd have to check your email and go back and check it. But, you know, I use it to get my name out there, because nobody pimps you better than you. Mm-hmm. It's me. Nobody's going to sell you better than you, man. So you have to go out there and push your name. And if it takes a Twitter, a Yahoo, anything, I'm willing to try it. So you can find me on the internet by going on Facebook and looking my name up, Odie. You can look me up on Twitter under Odie. Just look up Odie on Google Odie. Chances are my face, my name, or something I've done will pop up, along with that little dog. But other than that, my advice to people just starting tattooing is to do the right thing and take an apprenticeship. I didn't start tattooing until 92, but I started my apprenticeship at 90. I did 2 years of dirt, shit work, clean bathrooms, wash people's cars. Shit I didn't think that had nothing to do with tattooing. But in the long run, it did. It taught me that there's nothing that anybody could walk in here and say or do to me that'll affect me. It won't change how I tattoo, and it won't change. It'll change how you get your tattoo, but it ain't gonna change me. I'm already set in stone. I was taught in the era of two-fisted. So if you're not taught by an apprenticeship and you're not serious about it 100%, and chances are you're just gonna fuck people up, give them a bad tattoo, and probably lose your friends, if anything, and you're not gonna get any kind of respect. Although, I've said this before, and you can quote me, you suck long enough and it'll become a style. Right? If you're gonna get your first tattoo, my advice to you is to search out an artist that's capable of doing what you want. I understand that there's 5 kinds of clients. The client that knows what he wants goes in and gets it. The client that has no idea what they want is willing to work with the artist. The client that is doing it on a spur of the moment, just come in, let me get that. There's the dare. That's, well, I lost a bet, or I was dared and I came in. And then finally the one that just gives the artist full reign. They just know you as a person, and they like what you're doing. And this is unfortunately the worst part about somebody who starts off with doing tattooing, is they got a lot of friends who know that they can draw. And maybe they're like, why don't you give me a tattoo? But remember, tattooing is not like drawing on paper or walls or anything else. This is human flesh, this is skin. This has got to learn about the body. An apprenticeship teaches you about that. And if someone that you're going to isn't properly trained, you're not going to get those, you know, professional touches that come with somebody who's been properly trained. So I'd say search out an artist, make sure it's what you want. Don't go price judging, because you're paying a craftsman for his skill. This isn't like you're buying someone's wood siding or roofing, or someone's going to come paint. You don't like how much they're charging you and they're taking their sweet time, and you fire them and hire somebody. It doesn't work like that in tattooing. I mean, I've had people come up to me at a show and go, how much for this? And I say, it's $1,000. And they go, what? You didn't even see it. I go, well, you didn't look at my work. If you don't want to look at my work and know what I'm capable of doing, then I'm going to charge you $1,000 and say that's what it is. Now, we'll talk in between if you like what I'm doing and you want something, and we're capable. Those are the things. But yeah, I'd say make sure it is what you want, from who you want it, and that they are a reputable person. You know, proper training, work in a shop. And I understand some people go around on, like I do a tour too, where I go to different cities, and I might be at a show in Houston, Texas for 2 days only, and meet up with 3 people that got so much work I got to extend the stay and have to go to a hotel room or their house. I bring the right amount of equipment to do that, but I don't suggest that be done on a normal, like somebody go to someone's house to get tattooed, because they're advertising that they do tattoos out of their house. I would say that would be, you're looking for trouble. There's nothing good coming out of them ever.